All right, let's talk about a challenge that, pretty much every teacher has faced. How do you get new vocabulary to actually stick? Today, we're going to dive into 7 proven methods to make language learning not just effective, but engaging and, most importantly, long-lasting.
You know the feeling, right? You teach a new word, you have a fantastic lesson, everyone seems to get it, and then you check in the next day and poof, it's like it never happened. It's a super common frustration, but the good news? It's totally solvable. So how do we fix this? Well, the solution isn't magic, it's strategy. We're going to break down 7 practical, research-packed methods that you can start using in your classroom, like tomorrow, to make vocabulary stick for good. Now, to keep things really clear and simple, we've organized these 7 methods into a straightforward 3-stage game plan. First, we focus on making words click. That's the understanding part. Second, making words stick, the memory part. And third, putting words to work. That's the active use part. So, let's start right at the beginning. Okay, stage 1. This is all about that aha moment. It's where that initial spark of comprehension happens. And honestly, if you don't nail this first step, the rest of it, well, it's just not going to work.
Our first method is all about teaching in context. So instead of just giving a definition in a vacuum, you introduce the new word inside a sentence or maybe a little story. This gets the student's brain to act like a detective, using the clues around the word to figure out what it means.
For instance, if you put this sentence on the board, students can pretty quickly figure out that exhausted must mean something like very tired. They discover the meaning themselves, and that moment of discovery, it's way more powerful than you just telling them the answer.
Next up, let's talk visuals. Our brains are basically image processing machines. They're incredibly fast. So when you connect a word to a picture, a video, or even a real object you can hold, you're creating a much stronger mental hook than just letters on a page.
Think about it. Trying to describe a volcano with just words is pretty tough, right? But show a picture, boom, instant understanding. Or bring a real apple to class. Holding the actual object makes that connection between the word and its meaning totally concrete. Okay, our third method for making those words click is the word map. This is just a fantastic tool for really breaking down a word and looking at it from all different angles. It's kind of like creating a little profile page for each piece of vocabulary.
So with a word like brave, you're not just writing a definition, you're adding its synonym, courageous, its antonym, scared, and a sentence that uses it. You're building this whole rich web of understanding around that one single word.
Okay, so the student gets it. That aha moment has happened. Great. But how do we move that word from their short-term memory into their long-term storage? Well, that brings us right to stage 2, making words stick. And we're going to kick this stage off with the fun stuff. Games! I mean, when students are playing, when they're laughing and engaged in some friendly competition, their brains are just wide open to learning. Games can turn what feels like a chore into an activity they actually look forward to. Just think about a game of Pictionary. One student has to remember the word angry and then figure out how to draw it while everyone else is trying to guess. That whole process, the recall, the creativity, the fun, it acts like super glue for their memory of that word.
Now this next one is a real game changer, personalization. Our brains are naturally wired to remember stuff that matters to us. So when we link a new word to our own lives, our own memories, our own feelings, our brain basically puts a little sticky note on it that says, hey, keep this one.
And it's such a simple shift in your questioning. Instead of asking, what does excited mean? You ask, when was a time you were excited? Suddenly, they're not just defining a word, they're connecting it to a real feeling they had on their birthday. That memory is powerful.
And of course, you knew this was coming. Good old repetition and recycling. Our brains are designed to forget information we don't use. That's just a feature, not a bug. So it's on us to create chances for students to see and use these words again and again.
And this is so easy to build into your routine. A quick 5-minute warm-up at the start of the next class. That simple act of asking about yesterday's word forces them to retrieve it, and that tells their brain, oh, okay, this one's important. I should hang on to it.
All right, let's move into our final and maybe most important stage, putting words to work. This is where we close the gap between passively recognizing a word and being able to actively and confidently use it in a conversation. Our 7th and final method is all about application. Because true ownership of a word doesn't happen until a student can pull it out of their own memory and use it to express their own ideas. That's the ultimate goal, right?
And look, this doesn't have to be some massive, intimidating essay. A simple task like this one is perfect.
It's low stakes, it's meaningful, and it requires students to actively pull out those new words and use them to create something of their own. So there you have it, a complete 3-stage process for taking students all the way from confusion to confident communication. Let's do a real quick recap of the 7 powerful tools we've just added to your teaching toolkit.
We started by making words click with context, visuals, and word maps. Then we made them stick using games, personalization, and repetition. And finally, we put them to work with speaking and writing practice. Each one of these plays such a crucial role.
By weaving these methods together, you're not just teaching words for a test. You're building a vocabulary program where that knowledge really, truly lasts. So, the only question left is, which tool from your new kit are you going to try out first?